Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Rotation. I would say the most pivotal rotation of all years or all seasons so far. I would say Kingdom. My name is Ashley, aka MiDNiTE, on the line here with Kingdom as usual. No guests this week. The players and coaches, they're currently traveling to New York for Major 4, the NYSL, or as Kingdom will call it, the NYSW Major. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. RØKKR is still alive to compete for a place or a spot at Call of Duty Champs next month. So it's do or die time. I mean, we talk about it all year on the podcast Kingdom, how everything's intense. It's been a close race. We've been middle of the rankings all season, but now it's time. It's all come to this. And so I kind of want your impressions Kingdom on obviously the season as a whole, how it's been for RØKKR, and how it's all kind of culminated to this, control your own destiny kind of vibe that we've got going on this weekend.
Man, shout out Rage and Kim Price in the chat.
Let's go. Number one fans. They're always first.
Yeah, I'd love it. The support that Kim shows for her son Attach, who helped the RØKKR close out and get in the winners bracket this weekend, is unrivaled. But no, I mean, honestly, this is where the Minnesota RØKKR wanted to be. So regardless of how the seasons went, to be blatantly honest, it is the opposite of the results that the Minnesota RØKKR wanted on land all season long. But if there's ever a time to change that, now is the time. We always say that. We said that last year. We say it this year. Like, now is the time. It's closing time. It has been. They have played well, probably over the last two qualifiers, and now need to really show up at this major in a way that they haven't showed up all year. But I'm seeing a team that has continuously gotten better and better. And I watch, whether it's Havoc popping off or Priesta popping off, both map ones this weekend were really good. And I feel like if the RØKKR can come out like that, they obviously, that's what happened this weekend. They put themselves in the best position to win, no matter what the team is. It could be FaZe, it could be Optic, it could be New York, it could be Seattle. If the Minnesota RØKKR can win map 1, they put themselves in position to win map 5. And so, they don't want to get to map 5. Everybody wants the 3-0, but I think this team is as polished as it's been all year long. I think they are playing well as a team, and I know we're going to talk about it. It is going to be a humdinger of an event. This major is going to be absolutely bananas. The fact that there are only 2 teams confirmed for champs and the other 6 have to be confirmed at this event is mind-blowing, and it says a couple of things. I know that the Call of Duty League is getting a lot of scrutiny these days, but it says a couple of things, and one of them is that however they plan this, however they did the schedule, however they planned who would play who and when they would play and how often they would play and how the points would work, it turned out to be one of the most hectic, I'm sure anxiety-filled for all of you guys on any team that is on the bubble right now. But there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on the Call of Duty League for this major, and I am going to definitely have 2 of them because I'm excited for what's going to happen. And I can't even debate Minnesota's opening match. Their second one is even going to be hard. It is absolutely bananas, and I think the Minnesota RØKKR are in a great position, and this is where they want to be, right? It's like, if you look at the cutoff at the current moment, they're behind by 5 points, to a team that's starting in losers bracket. And so that is the position you want to be in. You win that first match, and it puts you in such a, you probably would bump to 6th place. It puts you in such a better position, depending on how LAT opens, and they play FaZe to start. So Minnesota have the opportunity, and so it's just time to show up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think it's tough to be outside of the top 8 when you're going into the last major before champs, but it's such a close and contentious race in the standings that it is really up to us. We don't want to be in a position where we're like, man, we're on the bubble, and if so-and-so loses to so-and-so and then this, obviously we still want that to happen, but it's not dependent. We can show up to land, right. We can turn up. And let's not forget, last season with this same roster, minus Colt out for Major Maniac last season, we were kind of having some mid-season struggles, and during stage 5, we barely eked into the winners bracket, and then we caught fire. Obviously, everyone knows what happens. We won that event. We did the historical best of 9 reverse sweep versus Toronto. Like, they turned up at the last major of the year last year, and we've just got to kind of hope for a similar vibe this year. It also kind of reminds me, Kingdom, of, do you remember, like, back in the day we used to have, it was before CDL was a thing, but we used to have COD champs, and then before that there would be like a playoffs tournament.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I can't remember a champs in COD history ever where there was such a close race between if you were even going to make it or not. Like, back in the day, teams got like kind of auto invited or auto seeded into champs. I remember they had like a Black Ops 2 league play gimmick for a little bit there. But yeah, there's never been this tight of a race between like who of these like absolute pros and these organizations are going to be at champs. So that's why this time of year is so important. And you mentioned it, but this past weekend, beating Seattle and Paris in game 5s, we were up 2-0 on Seattle. They almost reverse swept us, but they didn't happen, so it doesn't matter. Sure. And then Paris, I know we all joke and we say, oh, the baguettes, they're not gonna show up, or what are they doing? But they are still, I think, obviously the worst team in the league, especially if you look at rankings. But they've improved, lately, and they have nothing to lose at this point, nothing to gain, nothing to lose. So they're going out swinging, and so they took us to map 5. We were able to call it, get it, but it was a close call. And we did get winners bracket. So we've had the first 2 majors. We didn't get into the winners bracket, which has been a struggle and probably why we don't have so many points this year. But the previous major got in the winners bracket. This major got in the winners bracket. That's right where you want to be when you're this close and fighting for top 8. So I mean, it's going to be freaking crazy. Do you think like the guys can work some of their magic? Obviously you mentioned they came together and won this past weekend. They're trending the right way, but do you think that they can bring some of the magic they brought late last year too?
I think so. And if you watch, there was maps where Priesta was frying. There was maps where Havoc was frying, and whatever they've done to put Havoc in a position where he's dropping 30 or 40 bombs and near 50 bombs, whatever position they're putting him in, they just need to continue to do that. When Priesta's able to pop off, like, it's almost like when you have a team like almost like the Atlanta FaZe that's so good that whoever's frying, it's just like let them have their way on the map, kind of. And they've designed their team uniquely to get the best out of everyone. And so it's like, yeah, you might not see Arcides drop 45, but that's because that's not really his role,
Yeah.
And so I feel like with the Minnesota RØKKR, putting the right people in the right position, like if Standy's not popping off on a day, I mean, I thought it was amazing that I don't remember what he went negative in one of their series. I don't know if it was this weekend or previous, but like he went like 21 negative overall in kills and they still won. It was like, and so like, and he just like, hey, I had a bad day, but thanks for my teammates. And so I think this team has figured out how to win together. If you got to do it in game 5s, whatever, like I mean, unfortunately, it seems like there's some teams in this league that are great at hardpoint and search, but just control's not their thing. And so it's like, well, let's just be great at hardpoint and search, And so, I mean, I think about NYSL is like that team, and I'm not saying that Minnesota RØKKR. That's why I think this matchup is going to be crazy this weekend. But like the Minnesota RØKKR, I'm not saying they're bad at control, but they have always. Everybody just knows and gives that team a reputation, even without major. Like they're good at search. They play well as a team. And I don't know if that's because Coach Brian and the rest of the team, but whatever it is, because Looney was a good search player too. It's like they're just good at search, and so that you're going to have competition against them in that game mode. If they're winning game 1s, and all they have to do is bring that fire on land. Now that is, and I don't know what the barrier is, right? Like you talked about a couple shows ago how is it that teams have such a hard time going from scrims to matches? And my thing with the RØKKR, with New York, is, and maybe even with Florida, is like, how is it so difficult to translate online to LAN? And I understand that even at LAN this year, we're still online because you have to log into BattleNet or whatever. And so no matter what, you're playing online, it's just like a private server and you're closer to the other person. So the ping is the same or whatever. But I think the Minnesota RØKKR definitely can bring the fire, and it's going to be we've said it all year. Got to win map 1. That is the best position. I wouldn't want to go down 0-1 against New York, and if I lost to New York, I definitely wouldn't want to go down 0-1 against Optic. So it's
No
going
shot.
up 1-0. Like that is and it gives you so much confidence, right? Like because you can win from there because map 2 is search, and so if you go up 2-0 on any team, Minnesota becomes hard to beat because they just got to maybe win that second hard point if they can't get the control. And so I'm imagining everybody's nervous. I don't know how you plan for stuff like this. It's like basically they had a map 5 for losers bracket or winners bracket against Paris, and it's like you got to have ice in that moment, but it's never chalked with the
Yep.
squad. And I hope that they show up and prove that it's never chalked. In a magical world, I want them and New York to make it at champs. And I think I've said this to some other people recently. If Florida and Paris and LAT and LAG don't make it, I'll be okay.
Hey, I'm with you. I just want to make sure RØKKR gets there, and then I mean it's kind of the classic Minnesota sports cliche for my Minnesotans out there. But sometimes our goal is like, let's just get in the playoffs or champs, and you can make it happen, right? So you're saying there's a chance. Like shout out to Dumb and Dumber, but that's the type of podcast we run, baby. We quote Dumb and Dumber, and
go.
Please don't think of Kingdom and I in that lens, though. With wait, who would be dumb and who would be dumber?
Icon and
Icon's dumber.
Random invisible guest.
There you go.
Dumb and dumber.
Neither of us are dumb and dumber.
Smart and smarter, yeah.
Yeah, smart and smarter. I like that, dude. I like that. Chat, weigh in with your opinions or don't if you're going to hurt anyone's feelings. But so let's get into the state of Minnesota RØKKR. Obviously, we finished 3-2 in stage 4. That does secure us winners bracket. We're taking on NYSL, or as I said, Kingdom calls them NYSW. We're going to need them to be NYSL, though, in our matchup here against them. We're in winners bracket. If we do lose, not saying we would, but if we did, we would drop down to the losers bracket and play Optic Texas, which is terrifying because Optic Texas on LAN is a completely different beast. Obviously, they've had their substitutes in. I think Illy's back. Is he back? No.
Yep, he's back and he's playing back. Well. But they're not playing well as a team.
Yeah, I mean, it takes some time, right? When you take away a key piece of your team like that because of an injury and then getting him back in the groove. So who's to say Optic will be Optic on LAN? But if I had to place my bets, I would say it's going to be Optic turning up on LAN. So we, by all means, we want to and we need to win this match versus NYSL here in winners bracket round 1. It is literally do or die. We are in 9th place in the standings. And I mean, if you look at this, I think if you look at the other matchups, you got London versus Ultra, you got FaZe versus Thieves, us versus NYSL, and then Breach versus Florida. We kind of slid into a decent side of the bracket there, right? Like obviously if we lose, we have to go play Optic in an elimination match. Like that's no fun. But if we do end up taking the dub, we would play the winner of Breach and Florida, which I find to be a really manageable matchup, knock on wood, of course. So, I mean, what's your take kind of on where we landed in the bracket here? Does this seem like the best case scenario or kind of mid case scenario?
Best case scenario is being the Breach. To be blatantly honest, Florida is the most inconsistent team in the league. I mean, that's kind of their reputation over the life of the CDL. But with 2Real, especially, like they just don't they don't look consistently good. He has the lowest KD in the league overall out of every single player, and so it's hard to rely on that. And guess what? This is his first LAN as a pro, so it's like you're already got everybody saying, because I don't know. I mean, watching a CDL chat, enter at your own risk, right? But when 2Real's not doing good and it's like too fake, too bad,
oh man,
too horrible, too low of a KD, like people are just going crazy in the chat, and so it's
a tough gamer tag, dude. You might want to change that one,
dude. To be blatantly honest, if I'm honest with you, it's too easy, pun intended, to make fun of that gamer tag, and so like and people were, I mean, I had to turn the chat off because they were just going off on him. But honestly, he isn't playing well. He's getting some good plays here and there, of course. So is probably every player in the entire CDL. But he, I don't know if it's confidence. You're playing against players that you have called, you've wanted to be like, and I don't think he knew that he was going to be on a squad, to close the year
Yeah.
out. But if you're going to be on any squad, why not be a squad that might make champs, right? And
Heck
so,
yeah.
better than Johnny getting on Paris and unfortunately losing every match. And so I think that this is the second best scenario. It is the best side of the winners bracket for
For
sure.
sure.
To be
For
on the
sure.
side with FaZe, Ultra, Ravens, and Thieves.
Ooh.
Nope, I'm good.
No
See you
thanks.
later. New York is the only team on the RØKKR side that is dangerous, and unfortunately, that's who the RØKKR's playing. New York are coming off of a loss, but Krim is in a unique state right now in terms of like, I'm going to champs. We're going to make it. And
Right.
he's allowing Kismet to lead and be an IGL when necessary. He's really allowing, I mean, Hydra had, what do you call it? Uh, he had COVID last week. And I think as Chance said on the cast, he said, the only thing sick is his gameplay, and so they're going up against, like, Minnesota's going up against, in my opinion, arguably the toughest opponent in the CDL right now, next to FaZe. But people are putting New York over FaZe right now. FaZe has been inconsistent, even though they've been consistently second place. But so I think Minnesota landed in a good spot because if they do win, they're playing probably the Breach, which is another team that's been kind of up and down, even though they've played really well recently, going 4-1 in the qualifier. If they drop down to Optic is a team that I've always felt like, it's funny, but FaZe and Optic, I feel like Minnesota can beat. I've always felt like the Minnesota team, and I don't know if it's because of Attach, has too much ice to have any fear of any of those players. But I just have always felt like the Minnesota RØKKR have been uniquely equipped against those two powerhouses, and Optic is looking weak right now. They're ready for just I mean, they're a lock for champs, right? They could lose their second place seed, but it's going to be difficult. One of the teams that's already up would have to win. But like, I think Optic is in a position not for a long run. And, it's good that this is a Minnesota RØKKR show so that I'm not going to have a whole bunch of Optic fans mad. But I think Optic might get one tapped out of this event, and whether it's Minnesota or New York going down to play them. So I do think Minnesota is in a good position. If they fall down the losers bracket, I mean, yeah, if they were playing Paris, then they'd probably be in a better position. But I think they're where they want to be, which is in the winners bracket in the last event of the year with the last opportunity to make it to champs. Being in the losers bracket, like lag, is not where you want to be. And so
Yeah.
all the other bubble teams are up there with them. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be absolutely nuts. Michael Sully in the chat says, what place do RØKKR need to get at this major to secure a champ spot? That is a really tough question, Michael, because I mean, yes, us winning and winning out and winning as much as possible, that's key. But it also depends on the performance of Florida, of LAG, of LAT. Like, it literally depends on how those other two teams do or three teams do. And as Kingdom just pointed out, LA Thieves, Florida, they are starting in the winners bracket as well. So in a simple world, I'd be able to tell you, oh yeah, because the other teams are in the losers bracket, we probably just got to get to like winners finals, and unless another team has a Cinderella story, like, we're gonna lock it up. Unless Kingdom, if you've been doing some math, you've been going icon crunch, I don't know the answer to this question because it really depends.
It does depend 100%. If lag, Florida and New York, let's say lag gets first rounded, they're in losers, that would be great news. Minnesota would basically, all they need to do is win one match and they're over lag. But Florida is at the same amount of points as Minnesota, so they'd need to lose as well. And although New York is 30 points behind, a top 3, top 4 finish would put them in position. So basically, in my opinion, required placement for qualification is first. But like,
to guarantee it.
Yeah, because Minnesota could go to the winners final, but if they're playing against New York and Florida is far in round 4 or in the elimination final, that's trouble. So there's no guarantees here. Like, honestly, I think Minnesota just has to play their best Call of Duty right now. And so does everybody else. So let's not, like, this isn't just Minnesota. This is like every team that is in there are so many people that can be passed up and still not make it. Technically, in a crazy whirlwind, the Ultra could not make champs. Like nobody's locked except for FaZe and Optic. So this is going to be, I mean, if the London Royal Ravens didn't make it, they'd have to double first round and everybody that's below them would have to get wins. It's almost impossible for them or Seattle not to make it, but it's possible. And so
Right.
unfortunately, like there is no like they need to place this, they need to place that. If I'm them, I want to beat New York. I want to beat Breach or Florida. I want to be in the winners final. That is the best possible position, even if you're playing FaZe, whoever you're playing, because then you go to the elimination final. You're guaranteed top 4. Like get to the winners final, and you'll at least be well. I guess you're guaranteed top 3. So get to the winners final. You win 2 matches. That's it. Like those first 2 matches.
Yep.
That's what I would want to do if I'm Minnesota RØKKR.
Yep, we need to come out hot, and yeah, it's just it depends what the other teams do. I mean, it's a kind of a good thing, I guess. Now, I was gonna say it's kind of a good thing that we'll obviously see some results right away. We'll know day one, what's LAT, Florida, I mean, and New York. But then, yeah, depending what those teams do in the losers bracket, or depending if we end up in the losers bracket, that's going to spell a lot. So there again is the standings. We are 5 points behind LAG, 10 behind LA Thieves, which those are the equivalent of like 1 win or less. And then obviously Ultra is ahead by 2. So yeah, it's a mess, man. I was like, man, they wrote this into the script for sure, Kingdom. This reminds me of like playoffs, and no disrespect to the other major events, obviously, that happened this year. I mean, my favorite one was obviously the one we had here in Minnesota, but this is like gonna be a lit event in terms of implications for champs, and it's just gonna be nuts. And so if we look at that, I guess New York. So not only are we playing New York round 1, and they're hot, like you mentioned, it's actually the events in New York. So they're gonna assumingly have a home crowd advantage. Crimbot getting cheered on stage, the rest of the guys feeling the energy from the crowd. Do you think that could be a factor for New York to really push them ahead momentum-wise?
I think 1,000,000%. And that's the only, so I would say the only bad part about where Minnesota is in this bracket is they play New York, the hometown heroes. They play Optic if they lose. Like it's like you're just gonna get cheered against for 2 matches. Like they will not be cheered.
Well, I should say we won't be cheered for. I hope we're cheered for, obviously, everywhere we go. But you are correct. Like the home team and then America's team, essentially. That's tough crowd matchup right there to start off the major.
Technically, this event is like a Boston-New York event because Boston did the Challenger. So if they end up playing Boston in the second round, like no matter what, Minnesota's going to have to come out with the ice. And yes, I think when you're New York and you go 4-1, almost 5-0, they went to map 5, right? If you go 4-1, and look like the best team in the CDL right now, going into your home event, like there's no better recipe. Now, guess what? New York have, I believe, 0 wins on LAN outside of the Pro-Am this year. So just because all of that's true doesn't mean they're going to have success. They may go to LAN and just fall flat. I don't see that happening because the players on that team are experienced. And I think Hydra's hungry to go to champs. Like Hydra not at champs is crazier almost than Crim not being at champs. If you think about his talent and where he is in our league right now. But then I say that Attach not being a champs would be bananas. This dude is 3rd in the league right now with KD, 3rd in control. I think he's 3rd in another
Attach has been playing so well. Like, it's crazy, dude.
He's playing for champs. He's one of the most consistent players. He's up there with your Scumpies, and like this dude is towards the latter part. I won't even say end, latter part of his career, and is still frying. And we have to like pause for long enough to think about the other people up there with him is Celium, Dashy. These are newer guys, right? And then you have Attach next on the list. And that's for overall KD in the league. Like GG's Attach. Like the dude is playing well, and he's going from online to LAN. Attach doesn't shift. So this is a great opportunity. And I do think they're going to go against a hard crowd, but they've been there before. And the RØKKR remind me of MiDNiTE. They're the type of team you want to root for, and hopefully they can get some of that juice for the matches against the non-hometown teams and the non-Optic teams. And so, like, hopefully they can get the crowd behind them Standy's great dude to root for. Dylan, great. I mean, they just have a great roster, and I think Havoc rounds it out well. So it's going to be. I hope it goes map 5 regardless, that opening match. I
No,
know we're going to
don't
do
you put that
predictions.
on us, Kingdom. Don't put that out there, bro. I
Okay,
mean, that'll
3-0,
be
3-0,
exciting.
yeah.
Yeah, 3-0 RØKKR. Come on. Nah, I mean, yeah, it has the making of being an absolute barn burner. I mean, the whole event's going to be nuts. I'm actually super excited to not only watch your RØKKR matches, but our own. It's going to be pretty crazy. I think, one note, shout out producer Will, who does the run of show. He pointed out, the 3 major winners that we've had this year so far. So Optic, LAG, and Seattle are all in the lower bracket, all in the losers bracket. They can't lose. They have to win to keep going in the tournament. I thought that was not an interesting stat, but just kind of an interesting, place that those teams are at. I mean, I feel like those teams might feel like they've got champs cinched up, but I'm not saying they didn't try in the qualifications. Maybe, and they probably will turn up at LAN because that's obviously what they've shown us they can do. But
Lag's chalked.
Yeah, you think? I mean, they've kind of been chalked since.
I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I saw Austin talk about he's never been to New York and he's excited that he's going to New York. Like, yay, Slasher. I threw him a GGs on Twitter, but like this team is. If anybody's in a very bad position right now, they're in the worst possible position, in my opinion.
True.
Losers bracket on the bubble in 8th place. Minnesota's chasing you, and Florida only 5 points behind. You cannot lose. They can't lose a single match. Like,
it would be nuts if they went from winning an event to not
making champs.
Considering how
probably gonna happen.
Considering how many points they got in that LAN win here in Minnesota too, it's like, man. I mean, I don't know. I hope everyone can win except no one, and I want RØKKR to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of where I'm at with it.
And even Surge, they're in 185. They're 40 points ahead, only 40. You get to like top 4, top 3, you get more, you're bouncing over them. Surge, if they lose in the opening round, they could drop all the way down to like 7th or 8th to go into champs. Like,
true story.
This is for seeding. Even if I'm Optic, I'm trying to win. I think FaZe has the #1 spot locked up, unless I think even FaZe only has to win 1 match, and even if Optic wins, they don't catch them. So like, FaZe is fine. They're gonna have the #1 seed going into the most important event of the year, and they've proven all year long they've been beatable. So champs is gonna be awesome regardless. I actually am curious, Ashley, your thoughts on the way this is all laid out. Is it a good thing in your mind that we're now down to the last minute and organizations like yourselves have to like not know if you're going to freaking be going to LA in a month? And because champs is in 3 weeks, like, is it a good thing or a bad thing for some of these organizations that like Minnesota and Florida and New York that don't know? But then you're also, if you're ultra LA and LAG, you could get bounced out. So you don't know if you're going to champs. Like, is it hard to prepare for you guys for content and things like that? Like, should it be something that changes? Do you think there should be a longer gap maybe?
I don't necessarily think there should be a longer gap. I do think going from the final major of the year into champs in 2 weeks basically it's the retention of everything. Like, this crazy banger event weekend's about to happen, and then we only have to wait 2 weeks and then champs is here. Like, I find that timeline to be pretty exciting on the organizational side, whether it's getting the players prepared and looking towards the off season. Like, if our season ends this weekend, our social strategy, everything that we're doing is completely different than as if we're going to champs. So either way, you do have to prepare for end of season content, because the season is going to end. No matter who wins champs, it will be over. So it's 2 different ways of looking at it. It's making sure that we're ready for either scenario. Obviously, we don't want to, have to do the scenario where we go into our off-season mode while 8 other teams are not in off-season mode, but we do prepare for it because it's just what you have to do. But the plan is for us to prepare our guys, the coaches to prepare the guys, the players themselves to prepare. And I mean, we're in a position where we control our own destiny right now. And there's teams that can't say that, right? So we've earned that right, and it's time to. It doesn't mean it's over, but it's time to really show up and do it. So we kind of look at it that way on the staff side too. Like we've earned the right to pull off a great champs campaign if we go. But if we don't, we're gonna have some fun off-season content. We'll figure it the frick out, and then roster mania is gonna start, and it's gonna be nuts.
Oh my
so
gosh,
it's gonna be crazy, dude. So I mean, I guess now I mean we've seen officially the online Vanguard went out with a bang for a 4-hour match for London and LAG. Absolutely ridiculous. The players are just famine. I mean, I don't fully, because I stopped watching, and I'm probably like everybody else, but like, what was going on? Was it like a server side issue that the teams couldn't compete for those 4 hours?
It's funny. I'm honestly clueless. I would love if Will or anybody in the chat has. This is one of those things where.
How did we get here?
Yeah, I saw the complaints, and I believe that it's the server mania. The servers are have been really bad, really really bad. I saw Octane tweeting that they weren't even able to scrim because the servers were so bad. And unfortunately, we're still online when we go to LAN. With this game, and so maybe it'll be different next year. But I think it's great that the online season of Call of Duty is over. There's so much drama going on right now with that topic, with the Challenger stuff, and there's a lot. There's just a lot of stuff floating around, and I think the league is gonna do some cool things this summer, and really make sure they engage the players and the teams. I hope. That's just me putting out good vibes and juju into the atmosphere so that you guys hopefully that it isn't like this. We are a professional league. And I couldn't imagine, and I'll say I've watched an NBA game where the basket was there was one game I was watching where the basket was too high by like half an inch. I don't know how the players noticed that, but so they had to, there was an hour delay or something. I watched another basketball game where they didn't repair the ceiling correctly, and it was raining and leaking onto the basketball court. So in order to not get people hurt, they had to move them. But as a fan, I turned off the game, of course. I'm not going to watch commercials for 40 minutes, waiting for the game to start, even though it's playoff basketball. And so I hope it gets figured out. Champs is the biggest event of the year. This is going to be one of the biggest majors. Delays like that just won't be good for the esport overall. It'll hurt viewership and all that kind of stuff. Servers were down. Ping was all over the board for London. Nasty said he had like 15. And I saw one where there was like the latency, it was like 30 versus 50 for the other team, and everybody was saying that's not fair.
That's wild.
And LAT started, chirping in about how bad their servers were. The reality is these teams live in different places. They play from different places. And I'm sure it's challenging to figure out servers that are going to perfectly balance everything and make it even. But it's on us. It's on the league, I guess, when I say us, to figure out the best way to play this game where it's fair and there's competitive integrity. So I feel bad for the players. I know there was, some debatable plays and some debatable maps during that whole 4-hour debacle. And, hopefully we don't have to experience that anymore, because we could, even though it's on LAN. So hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. Knock on wood. No bad server vibes. Figure it out. Let's go. Come on, man. I want this esport to thrive. I really do. All right, one more question before we get into predictions here, Kingdom. I'm going to ask you, and I know your answer already, so I'm going to just make sure that you can't say the answer you want to say. But who on RØKKR needs to pop off on LAN for us to make champs? You cannot say, and this would be my answer too, but you cannot say, well, in order to win, everyone needs to work really well together. Like, who's the X factor on RØKKR this weekend, in your opinion?
I'm gonna say Havoc. I watched back the 2 matches, and I feel like he didn't, pop off every single game, but when he did, and he was kind of carrying that Slayer load, it just allowed everybody else to play. I know I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but allowed everybody else to play their game, and to play their best. I think I'm very sure that Attach is going to be Attach. He's going to play like Attach. Priesta is going to be Priesta. He's going to play like Priesta. I would, on the adverse of that, who needs to not drop the ball is, I would say, Standy. I think that the RØKKR kind of luckily pulled out a W when he had, he went extremely negative in a series.
He hasn't done well the last 2 series that they played. It's been a bit of a struggle for him.
And I think that needs to turn around on LAN. I don't think they'll be able to get away with that. Yes, S&D wins championships, but if he does bad and they lose map 1 as a result, even if, Havoc and Attach are both dropping 30 plus, LAN is just different. It's a different environment. And for some reason, New York's going to feed off the crowd, right? And so if they're pooping on somebody on the team, they're just going to go more at them, and they're going to get gassed. And then you're going to have Krim yelling like, oh, look what I just did to Standy or whatever. And so I just think Standy needs to find his juju and whatever is going on. If it's a personal thing or whatever, spend some time, talk to the team, and have the team, because this happens with Seth, right? Like, have the team put him in a position where he has a good game. Like, it's just like you do in basketball. You make sure somebody gets a good shot and an easy basket, and then they get going with their 3-pointers or whatever. And I think for Standy, he just needs to have a good map, a good couple maps, if they beat New York, and he's a part of that, which he will have to be because Hydra is coming for him, then I think they'll have a good event. And so Standy needs to do well and not drop it. But I think Havoc needs to continue to pop off. I think he has become one of the most important keys to Minnesota's success to end the year off here. And prove the fans wrong, man. There's been people saying like, oh, they shouldn't have kept Major and they shouldn't have. I mean, and that's going to happen no matter what, right? But like, I feel like the coaches at Minnesota care about all their players, and every decision is difficult. I can read it on their face when they're reading the updates, like, and how hard it is to drop someone and put them on the bench. And so happy that Major is having success elsewhere. Although we do not want him to have success.
Sorry, Major. I love you, but I need you to lose. we need you to
get some L's. And to be honest, if Minnesota beats New York, I think that puts them out of contention. I don't see New York going on the most epic. Now, if that happened, I mean, it's Call of Duty history if they go on that losers bracket run, right?
That would be insane.
First round to the champion, because they'd have to probably win if they got bumped to the losers bracket. Because if you win one match, I think you get 20 points automatically to the top 6 or whatever. So, yeah, I think Havoc and Standy.
Okay. So you didn't say the whole team. You did say 2, but I think both of our answers combined is basically going to be the whole team. My X Factor is Priesta, and I actually am going to compound on top of a point that you made. I thought was really good. It's like we need those players that are going to like clear the way and elevate. Like you're saying that the way needs to be cleared for Standy and Colt to kind of do their thing and make, shoot their threes, I guess. And I think the person to do that is Priesta. Attach has been playing so well all year. And it's not to say that Priesta hasn't been. Priesta's freaking insane. He's Priesta. But when Priesta's on, he's demonic, dude. And so if Priesta's on and he's on LAN, it opens up the doors for Havoc and Standy to really go off. And yeah, I think it's Attach and Priesta. They're the key to opening up our offense, and then they're our primary defense as well. So that's kind of how I view it. But I do love how our answers combined into basically the whole team needs to pop off on LAN for us to make sure. Oh,
I mean, it's kind of true though, right?
It is. I mean, it was kind of a trick question because there really isn't like, oh, this one guy did really well, so Minnesota won the major. Like, it does not work like that. It takes immense amounts of teamwork and working together, and the fans cheering. It's, well, hopefully we'll have some fans cheer. I know we're in enemy territory for sure. Avex in the chat asked, when is the next saga coming out? Good news, my dude, before the major. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Nice. The RØKKR YouTube. Saga is our docu-series that follows the team's journey throughout the year, and we'll have a pretty intense episode for you guys coming out this week, so keep an eye out for that. All right, let's get into some predictions, Kingdom. It's time to predict the bracket, or at least the bracket that we know of. But before we do that, I want to just give a big shout out to our sponsor. Let's go. The rotation has a sponsor. Let's go. Shout out to Prize Picks. Super grateful that they're supporting the podcast. I'm going to take just a minute to tell you a little bit about who they are, what they do, and why you should check out Prize Picks. PrizePicks is the easiest way to play daily fantasy for both esports and traditional sports. If you don't know how daily fantasy works, it's super straightforward. You can check out the games that are coming up, and you can place props on players that are based on projections. So you could like bang the over on the number of eliminations by attach or something. They've got Call of Duty, Valorant, Rocket League, and other esports. Plus, they've got baseball right now, obviously. Football's coming up in the fall, so I'll be checking that out. The projections are posted a few days before games happen, so you can always check back and see which player props are available. I would gather to imagine, it's Tuesday today, I would imagine the lines for this weekend's major are up for Call of Duty, so definitely check it out. Depending on how many over-unders I make, I could win up to 10 times what I put in, so wish me luck. I'm gonna go make my place my props here soon. If you want to give PrizePicks a shot, please don't forget to use promo code ROTATION when you sign up for a match deposit. You get up to $100 when you create a new account. You must be 18 or over to play daily fantasy on PrizePicks, and remember, play responsibly. Don't be like me. I'm about to go willy-nilly on there. I'm gonna go crazy this weekend. It's gonna be fun. But no, it's big shout out to PrizePicks. Wanted to make sure we shout them out before we got into predictions here. So, producer Shannon, let's pull up the bracket. Let's go, baby. Woo, woo. It's Tuesday, baby. Yeah, before the major. All right, so as usual, Kingdom, we're going to go through each match here. We are not going to predict the losers bracket, obviously, because we don't know what those matchups will be. However, towards the end, we can talk about, who do we think might end up in the losers bracket and who can make a run. But let's start off with the 4 fact matches that we know. London Royal Ravens coming off their 4-hour burner this past weekend, and they're going up against Toronto Ultra. Ultra really surprised me when they played at Major 3, their own land. They were playing really well. They placed really well. And I just hope that they don't do that here. I hope London wins. I don't know if they have what it takes, though. Ultra has looked so good on land most recently. So I'm going to go ahead and go Ultra 3-1 over Ravens here. Who you got, Kingdom?
Ultra's coming off of a W over Optic. London has been looking good recently. This is such a hard call. On LAN, I'm going to give Ultra the nod. I think they want to make sure that they're not being chased for that champ spot. And I think Ravens are a bit safer. I think if Ravens win one match in losers bracket, they'll be fine. And where do they go? Oh, they go down to play lag. Yeah, I think either of these teams will beat LAG. So I'm going to go Ravens, or no, Ultra 3-2. I think it's going to be a long match.
Ooh, I love a 3-2 in a winner's bracket, minus our match, of course. I think London is good. They are better than I think a lot of people think. But I still got Ultra taking the dub. We got LA Thieves versus Atlanta FaZe. This is where I'm just going to straight up manifest this, all right? I know FaZe has been not FaZe this year. LAT, they turned up at the Minnesota Major. They've actually played well, I think, on all of the lands this year, basically. I said maybe minus at the beginning. But yeah, they're nasty on land, but we need them to not be nasty on land because we are currently in very close contention with them for Champ's top 8 spot. I'm going to manifest a FaZe 3-2. LA Thieves is going to put up a fight because they're nasty, but FaZe is going to take it 3-2. And who knows, maybe the FaZe that we've been wondering, where are they all year? I mean, they've made it to grand finals. They're a very good team. They're in first place, yada, yada. But where is the FaZe that we all know who's slamming land victories like it's nothing? I think they could show up here, honestly, this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us expected FaZe to, get dropped, 3-1 by both the Gorillas and the Ravens. Something's up with that team, like to your point. They just haven't been playing. I mean, I think the win against the Surge probably put them in a better position, but like, oh man. I'm gonna say FaZe 3-1. I mean, it'd be a good thing for the RØKKR if LAT loses anyway, but I'm gonna say FaZe 3-1. They need to win this tournament, in my opinion. Put everybody on their heels and be like, oh yeah, they're still FaZe. Celium has had the number 1 KD, I think, all year, except for like the when Optic won their major. Dashy pumped himself up to number 1, but then he went back down to number 2 when they went in their slump, and Celium is just not looked back. The dude is disgusting. Yeah, I'm gonna say 3-1. LAT just won't have it.
And I hope they don't. Minnesota RØKKR going up against NYSL Kingdom, right? NYSL right here in this matchup. Listen, you can predict whatever you want, but this is gonna be a crazy one. I was just thinking, I'm like, well, if we go up 1-0, that could be really good, but then, are we gonna really close it out 3-0 or 3-1? I'm not sure. It could be 3-2. And I feel like if we lose the first two maps, it could be quite bad and irritating, and it might be an easier victory for NYSL. So I don't know, man. My head's all over the place. Obviously, I'm manifesting this bracket. I do, and I'm not even saying that because I don't believe that RØKKR can win. I do believe that the guys can beat NYSL. NYSL struggled all year until lately, right? Maybe some of those boogeymen come back. We just had why can't I think of his name? Hydra. I almost called him Havoc. We just had Hydra had COVID. Maybe his practice was impacted. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to throw out that juju, but I'm just saying we could be primed for a win here. I'm going to take RØKKR 3-2. It's going to go map 5. They're going to make us sweat for it, and it's going to be freaking crazy. And actually, one thing I wanted to add on to my prediction there, 3-2 RØKKR, is we're actually having a watch party for the match on Thursday. We're having it at Imagine Movie Theaters in Eagan, Minnesota. Definitely hit it up. I know it's kind of early. You might have work or school, but if it's, it's summer right now, maybe you're available. Check out the watch party. It's going to be crazy. Our match is set to start at 3:30 p.m. Central, but it might start a little earlier, so I'm going to get there at 3. I would advise going there at 3 o'clock, getting your snacks, your popcorn, whatever, and vibing out at the watch party. It's going to be a good one. Kingdom, who you got for RØKKR versus NYSL?
Is there any way I can not give my map count here? So
what?
I'll be honest with you. I've been, of course, rooting for Crim 6. I don't care what team he's on, but for basically the whole year. And I so desperately want to see this team write this story and make it, right? But then they're going up against the Minnesota RØKKR. And I'm on a Minnesota RØKKR podcast, and I talk about them every week. I love
you should predict whatever your heart wants. Don't worry about the chat flaming you. Don't worry about people unsubscribing because of what you said. Please don't unsubscribe, by the way.
So there's honestly a chance that Hydra won't play, right? Because of COVID protocols.
For real.
And maybe Clayster would have to come back because he's the person on the bench. Wouldn't that be
wild?
That
would be epic. That would be
Clayster and Crim, can they make champs that?
No, they have proven that they were on a bad lane.
So I think I don't want to say my map count because I think it's I would say I honestly feel like this New York team is disgusting right now, and everyone on this board that I'm looking at, with the exception of the Atlanta FaZe, I probably would still say they would beat them 3-2. I just think it's where they are. Everything I've said on the show about Minnesota and their potential to beat this team is 100% facts. If Minnesota could just win map 1, it puts them in the best position possible to win map 2 and map 3, or win map 4 and map 5, whatever it is. I think Minnesota is the better search team, but again, the way that New York has been communicating I just have been watching them, and I'm like, this could have actually happened. I said this, a whole, what do you call it, a major ago, but I didn't think it was the truth. I was like, this team, it's unfortunate. I feel sorry for Crim. It's not going to be a champs, and neither is Clay. Unfortunate. I want there to be a world where both of these teams make it. And if New York goes down, they probably would be better to do a run. I think New York is going to win this series. I am really having a struggle with the map count because there's a part of me that wants the RØKKR to win the series. So I don't even want to say 3-2 out loud, to one side or the other. But I think New York is
3-2. You think?
Yeah, we'll say 3-2 New York.
3-2 New York.
3-2 New York. Don't hurt me, chat. Please don't stab me.
Just let Kingdom drink the yellow Kool-Aid. Just let him do it. Just let him do it, man. You just gotta let him rock sometimes, I'm sorry.
This is the worst case scenario for this. The moment I saw this was the match, however long ago it was, I was like,
couple days.
Crap. Podcast is going to be garbage. So it's I'm going to have to talk about it.
I messaged our rotation group chat once I saw the matchup, and I was like, "Dang, Kingdom, you're gonna have to. I don't know what you're gonna do." No, I respect you though because you are sticking to your guns. You're a big Crim Six fan, Clay fan, NYSL's your team this year. I respect the belief, man. If you're gonna be a fan of a player and a team, you gotta stick with them. And who knows, maybe New York will prove that they're worth sticking with, and you'll look like the best lemon
Yeah, but I
Kool-Aid
don't
drinker of
want
all
to. I
time.
don't, I don't want to have a
Yeah.
final rotation of the season.
Nah.
Like I
Nah.
want
Nah,
to do
nah,
all that other
nah.
stuff you talked about. Like, let's get ready for
Oh.
champs. Like, let's go.
Yeah, we will. Let's talk champs, talk roster stuff. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. All right, so we both have 3-2, but for opposite teams. That's okay. Breach versus Mutineers. Who the hell knows? I mean, we don't know which Florida is gonna show up. So I'm just gonna manifest this one. Come on, Zinni, let's go. You could do it. They played well at the beginning of the year. Bring that spark back. Get Florida out of here. No offense to Major Maniac, but
Max.
we really do need Florida to lose this match and lose out of the tournament as quickly as possible. So I'm going to go Breach 3-1. Who knows what Florida's going to show up, though? Florida could easily win this game. Who knows? Depends on which Florida Kraken or whatever the thing is, which one of those things shows up.
I think that Too Real is too new, and they will not be able to get 2 maps. So I'm gonna say Breach 3-1.
That was amazing. Clip that. Put it on LinkedIn or whatever.
I'm gonna say Breach is gonna 3-1 Florida, and they're in my opinion it's sayonara because they're gonna go to Surge and they're gonna catch an L, and it's gonna be all on Minnesota to win enough matches to make it. I think Florida's not gonna be competition.
Right on, right on. I mean, we look at the lower bracket now. We've done our predictions. We're not going to predict any of these matches, but just some notable things. We already mentioned that 3 of the teams down here have all won a major this year. There's only been 3 major winners this year, and they're on the losers bracket for stage 4. LAG is sleep at the wheel. Who knows? Paris is Paris. Obviously, Optics down there. They're always a threat on LAN and just in general. And then Seattle was red hot. Obviously, they just won Major 3. But they really struggled in the qualification round. And so that's why they find themselves in the losers bracket. I guess Kingdom, I think the logical answer here is if a team from the top drops to the bottom, they're probably more likely to make a run. But if I take those guys out of the equation for a sec, who of these 4 teams in the lower bracket could you see making like a full-on run to like losers finals?
Seattle?
Yeah. I'm the same answer.
Anything can happen. Like you could see Paris come out of the box and just go crazy, and then like spoiler and eliminate teams that need to make champs. Because LAT could go down and play them, and they could beat them and be like, "Haha, you're not going to champs." Then they could go in the next round and play against the Gorillas and be like, "You neither." And then they like it you never know what's going to happen here. Paris looked good in their last couple of matches. Like
they did.
Donnie Temp is top 5 in the league. I mean, he's playing well. He just hasn't had a team that could
not even saying that because they took us to map 5. They're the best Paris we've seen all year right now.
And they still have only
isn't saying a
2
lot,
matches.
But they are good. They're good for Paris. They're pretty darn good for Paris, I'd say.
Yes, and so honestly, I think Seattle though. I the things I've seen out of Sib and Pred this season, the whole season, like the only 2 players I've seen come into the league with as much impact where I was like, dang, those guys are nasty, was Simp and Abizi. And so like these 2 guys, Sib and Pred, have such a bright future in the league, and accuracy, like Lamar has done such a good job of molding them. Mac rounds out that roster insanely well. All of the guys on that team have clutch ability in search. Lamar has the most clutches on the season of any person in the CDL.
Facts,
and
Iceman.
You just got to watch out for that team. They're going to run. In my opinion, they're going to be, but like you said, who knows who's going to drop down. And normally I would say Optic, right? But there's something different about Optic right now. And hopefully they can get it together. I saw that their Valorant team or something did good today. Maybe that'll give them some juice. I don't know. So hopefully Optic can get it together.
I hope so. Maybe they're mentally already in LA at champs. Who knows? I mean, it's definitely this is a good time of the year to peak though, for sure. I mean, last year RØKKR was able to couple it with a stage 5 victory on LAN into a
Yep.
top 4 placing at champs. Obviously, you want to win champs, but to go from where we were last season, a top 4 at champs, actually was pretty remarkable. So, all right, there's our prediction segment. Shout out again to Prize Picks, much love. We got fan cues here. Speaking of much love, we got fan questions this week. Andrew Larson is back. He says, what's been your favorite RØKKR moment so far this season? Mine was that 3-0 on FaZe to go 5-0 in Major 3 qualifiers. I have a couple. I think the 3-0 on FaZe to go 5-0 was super, super hype. And obviously it didn't have super great results at the time. But when we played Optic in Minnesota at our major, and hearing our home Minnesota crowd, boo Optic and cheer RØKKR, as a former Optic member and just someone who's been in the scene for over 10 years now, I've literally never seen that. The only time I've seen Optic booed was when they would go over to France and play a French team. So the way that Minnesotans showed out for the team there at the major was my favorite moment. In terms of playing, I don't know, man. Yeah, probably the 3-0 against FaZe. We were on fire that match. We were winning hard points. It was nuts, dude. That was stage 3 was nuts, man. We were on fire, and that was probably the best time to really be optimistic about the squad and where we were going. So I'd say stage 3, and then obviously the Minnesota major when we played Optic.
For me, it's hard to top that one, the 3-0 over FaZe. That was so exciting because very few teams ever have gone 5-0, and so it's
Yeah.
to have that happen, you're put yourself in the same company as FaZe. But I think my favorite RØKKR moment hasn't happened yet. So we'll see when they qualify for champs in an epic match and, place top 4 in the major. Then I'll be like,
yes,
my favorite moment.
Favorite RØKKR moments to come, dude. Favorite, and then I guess I will give a shout out to just our watch parties. I mean, not to be I guess biased in a way because obviously I work for the team, but see the people that come out to our watch parties. We had an awesome one last weekend at Surly Brewing. I already mentioned the one we're doing tomorrow on Thursday. Today's Tuesday in Egan. That's been super, super awesome too. Just the community that we're building here. So anyway, sappy answer, but that's my answer. Get over it.
It's a good answer.
All right. Next question. Who is scariest, aka best team that have made a roster change since Major 3? Will the success last past the honeymoon stage? Kingdom, do you have a take on this of which roster change has made a team the scariest since Major 3? There weren't a ton, in my opinion, that really changed the game. There was no Standy coming in on a team.
Was the Kismet or Paul change after Major 3? Was either one of those after?
I think it was before. Yeah, actually, right after Major 3 is when Kismet got on NYSL, right?
If that's true, then I'd say that one for sure. That team, not a lot of teams have seen. I mean, I guess London, they've been playing a lot better as well, with having a player come back onto the roster. All of the other teams, I'm kind of they're just trying stuff like lag. I think they might have gotten worse. Florida looked okay, but then I think they probably shouldn't have done the 2 real change and they should have just picked up Major, but they made a 2-person change and it's actually now turning out to not be so good. So I'd say if Kismet came after, then New York is easily the best. Paris, they still haven't won any matches. So I'm looking at all these teams, I don't think anybody's made a change where it's made a huge, insane difference.
I
don't know when Boston did their benching, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would say since Major 3, maybe we're getting technical with it, but I do think Kismet was during or after Major 3. I would say Kismet has had the most impact on NYSL and what they've been able to do. Let us know in the chat what you guys think. I want to see what you guys are thinking out there. We just got 2 this week, man. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We do a call out every Tuesday for people to submit their fan questions on our socials. So make sure you're following RØKKR on Twitter and Instagram. Shout out to Nate and Jack Frost again for the questions. Much love.
So,
all right. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the one, Will. That's what I was just looking at. Vivid replacing Capsule actually did make Boston better, seemingly.
But are they
So, GGs
scary?
for that call
Like
out.
NYSL's scary.
Yeah,
I'm not scared of Boston.
I think Boston's scarier only because NYSL probably won't make champs. So
true. Okay, that's valid for sure.
Vivid going to that team though actually did make them more consistent because they were like Florida, and now I think they went 4-1 in the qualifiers for this.
Got it. Vivid on Boston. Shout out producer
Good call
Will.
out, producer Will.
He shouts in the chat. All right, final thoughts. Kingdom, what are your final thoughts this week going into the most pivotal major of the year, the big champs implicator, the NYSW major? Final thoughts.
GG's to the league on a good year online. We made it. We got here, and we have one of the most exciting majors in Call of Duty history. In terms of not knowing what's going to happen. I do hope whatever the stuff that's going on with challengers, I hope it somehow gets resolved, at least in a way where the players feel like they're being given a good opportunity to make it to this league. I will say that this league is, only 48 players deep and then plus the bench. And it's the best players in the entire world, and so there's a lot of challengers players that made it in last year and earlier this year, and I think that'll keep happening. But because we've had such an influx, we may go through a season where there's not as many coming in. Depends on how many old heads are going to get replaced over Roster Mania and going into next season. And so just GG's to all those guys and to Doug and what he's trying with challengers, and him, he might make challengers champ still because his team actually played insanely well and got second at the Boston LAN, and they're the Boston team. So GG's to Doug. Almost got himself another LAN win. It would have lit up Twitter. But he did beat Clayster and made a big comeback. So,
that is, dude, the fact that these classic storylines are playing out in challengers now is kind of freaking throwing me. I'm not going to lie. Sensor versus Clay.
Yeah.
A tale as old as time. In challengers, a tale is old as time.
A ponytail is old as time.
A ponytail is old as time, man. That's a great final thought to end on. My final thought for this week, I said it a little bit earlier, but my final thought is this is a moment we've all been waiting for. We talk about it all year, how much these matches mean. Even if they're just a qualification match, they still add up to points, which still adds up to qualification for champs. And that's ultimately what you want to do. If you're not one of the 8 teams of the 12 that's playing at champs, that's a huge freaking L, and we don't want to be a team that's sitting in the L corner, all right? I don't want to have to deploy our social strategy for us losing 2 weeks earlier, all right? So come on, everybody. Let's get some hype in the chat. I'm sending all the players, the coaches, everyone at the event, my vibes. I hope that the guys are able to do it. And I said it before, but there's no better feeling, I think, than knowing that you control your destiny, right? It's time for those guys to lock in and do what they do best, which is to play some freaking Call of Duty, man. Have fun with it. Get some momentum, and you never know what can happen. We did it last year. We could do it again. So that's my final thought this week to wrap it up. One last thing. I know I mentioned it earlier, but just to let you guys know, here in Minnesota, we're having a watch party at the Imagine movie theater in Eagan. The match is set to start at 3:30, but you know how the schedule goes. We might start a little bit earlier. So I would arrive at 3, get your little popcorn, get your snacks, get in your seat. Let's get loud in there. Let's bring the hype. Let's get these guys the champs with our support. We'll see you guys at the watch party. I'll be there for sure. Real quick, Kingdom, before we go and put you on the spot, favorite movie theater candy or snack?
Peanut M&Ms.
Nice. I'm Reese's Pieces. GG's or Bunch of Crunch. I don't know. Bunch of Crunch is like when I was a kid though. Anyway, we'll see you at the movie theater at Imagine, and then we'll see you there. We'll see you in the spot. That's it, though. We'll be back next week, regardless. Hopefully, it's really good vibes next week.
Yeah.
I'm banking on that because I don't know what the heck we're gonna talk about. No, we always find stuff to talk about. Trust me. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, all that. Tell your moms about us, and we'll see you next week.